He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
You know, it doesn't mean that Tala-Com is doing anything wrong, but it is important to keep our eyes on foreign-owned corporate governments and groups, whether it be the Chinese, the Israelis, anybody. And I did look up Tala-Tech, and it's leaders in design, development, production of military, industrial, commercial, communications equipment. And that's just another example of how our country, our military, everything is dependent on foreign lands, the opposite of what George Washington said we should do. But I was asking the police officer calling in from Florida if a lot of the officers are waking up, and he told me off air a lot of the people that have been in a while are and are concerned, and he was giving me some of the terms they have for the people that aren't awake. So anything else you want to add about the mindset of the police you work with, the awakening that's happening, Chris, from Florida?
Well, I think police in general, you know, I will tell you this, the guys that are older have been doing this maybe 10 years and longer are a lot different mindset than the ones that are just coming in. The ones that come in, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, man, they're stupid. They don't know what's going on. They hire them right out of college. I don't even know how they graduated college, you know, and stuff. They can't even function on the street. And the guys that can think for themselves are the ones that are, you know, they're not going to go along with any kind of programs that are just going to be against our civil rights. But I just found it interesting that this company is owned by the Israelis, and they're supposedly manufacturing in part of the building missile guidance systems, you know. And another thing, the security guard, he says the people they bring in to work and manufacture some of the spook items they're making, they call them eggheads, and they're only allowed in portions of the building. The Israelis go in the other portion. Even the security guy wasn't allowed to go in certain portions. So, and this wasn't your typical whack and hut guard, man. This guy he said he had a master's degree, was well dressed. He was out of Pinkerton from Chicago. So the whole thing, man, just, I don't know, it made me ill.
So the issue is the police officer you talked to, and you've now checked the area out, he got a bad feeling. What I'm getting is it had the feeling of a spook compound.
Right, and this officer is on board. We've been discussing this stuff for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now, and he's very well aware of
on board, again, means awake to what's going on.
Yeah, it's just a little term we made up.
And then, and that's a good term. And then what do you call the police that love the system?
Bootlickers. I like to describe them as guys that live on their knees instead of on their feet, you know, and they do anything the administration wants, and they'll stab officers in the back to get what they need. And I think every job probably has that. But
sure, everywhere has bootlickers.
Yeah, and police work gets hard because you're working with these guys day in, day out, and you think you can trust them, and they'll turn around and stab you in the back just so they can get promoted or get some other job within the department. But I just wanted to let you know what's going on. These facilities are probably everywhere. Guy did say that, told the officer that this particular building and what they going on there is very important in the United States. He said during the economic collapse, Tosh, you wouldn't have to worry about it. They would try to keep it up. And, I mean, I really don't know what it is. It definitely looks like some kind of communications receiving facility. And, you know, the way they had the air ducts and the air conditioners, they definitely were trying to cool something down, and they probably did have a manufacturing facility in there. The whole place, all the windows are tinted out. The few windows that they have, everything else was, there was just, you know, there was no way to look inside. So I got pictures. I can send them to you guys.
Well, what I would do is I would just put them up on an account somewhere. I mean, there's all those photo accounts, and then send us a link. Good to hear from you. Call us back if anything else develops, and have a great New Year and be safe.
All right, keep up the fight, man.
I'll try. Thank you. Listen, the Pentagon spends more money in 2009, the numbers just came in, saw this in the news last week, than all 50 states combined, all their budgets. The banks have stolen, latest Bloomberg numbers are out, 27+ trillion. So we now have the numbers, and more may come in later it always comes in a few months late. But so far, 27, and I forget the points, it was 23.7 trillion, and then 4.5 trillion. It's over 27 trillion. The point is that it's just massive. I mean, it's numbers that you can't even get your mind around. We're being robbed right now. Okay, for the rest of the hour, maybe a little bit into the next hour, we're very honored to have Webster Tarpley, who is a doctorate in history. He also is a degreed economist and the author of the Unauthorized Biography of George Herbert Walker Bush, 2 unauthorized biographies of Barack Obama. Well, one's an unauthorized biography, another's an analysis. And he joins us now to talk about what happened in 2009, what's coming up in 2010, but also the underwear bomber and the FBI now being caught lying, saying they didn't detain anybody else, they didn't find a bomb, saying no one brought this guy onto the plane. Now that's been confirmed that someone did, but they won't say who. They won't release the video tapes from Amsterdam. How we saw the preconditioning the last month that Yemen had to be hit. Now this happens. Oh, it came out of Yemen. We got to hit Yemen. The whole geopolitical strategy, what this signals. We knew that Obama would start launching false flags. I had predicted aircraft bombings, attempted bombings, flu hype in January. I was proven right because I saw the preconditioning. But Tarpley is, again, a real expert on this, so we'll get his predictions and his view on what's happening. And then a little bit into the next hour, I want to get his take on, the health care. Even the liberals are waking up. This is a giant ripoff to the insurance companies. Higher taxes, less benefits. Webster Tarpley, it's good to have you here as we close out 2009.
Thank you very much, Alex. Happy New Year to you and to all the listeners.
What did you think of that police officer calling in talking about a intelligence nest?
Yeah, I guess I think that's Converse Info Systems. Isn't that one of them?
Yes.
Anyway, I think we've written that up in the 9/11 that they were able to monitor most U.S. telephone conversations.
And now we learn a month ago that all of the text messages, phone messages, everything was just recorded from 9/11, and now they're releasing it. The government and its private subsidiaries are just recording everything. We're so free, Webster.
Well, that's of course the National Security Agency. But maybe just to take a look now at the world strategic picture, because I think we have, a very ominous pattern. I look for 2010 to be a very tempestuous time, and we're going to have...
But, let's start with the kickoff, the underwear bomber, and then let's take your time. Go into all of it.
All right, well, I think it's obvious, I'm sure obvious to you, this is a controlled patsy, and we have this same pattern that we've seen again and again. We have these individuals that have very limited mental equipment, but nevertheless they're able to work miracles. In other words, they can do things that a normal person would never be able to do. You'd be arrested, you'd be questioned, you'd be searched, you'd be stopped in some way, rounded up. But no, in this case we have Omar Farouk Mutalab, the son of this rich, elitist oligarch banker from Nigeria, and he can do all these amazing things. His own father goes to the U.S. Embassy in Lagos, Nigeria, denounces him as a possible terrorist, somebody who is probably at a camp of some kind in Yemen, and this is shared by the State Department and the CIA right off the bat, and that seems to be sometime in about mid-November. And nevertheless, that's not enough to have his visa taken away. He's got a U.S. multiple entry visa, which he's allowed to keep. And, of course, you can have a stamp in the passport, but if they change it in the computer, then when you try to...
And he's traveling all over Italy, all over Africa. He's in countries illegally. He gets out of countries. He's disheveled. Looks like he's drugged, stumbling around. This is classic.
Right. So he's able then to basically have no effect. He doesn't get on any serious list of for scrutiny or special search, and he's then able to buy a ticket, a one-way ticket from Nigeria to Detroit. And he buys it. Somebody buys it in Ghana, $2,800 in cash, one way in cash. That would normally get you searched or something quite serious right there. He then re-enters Nigeria illegally. That doesn't seem to have any effect. And then we have this famous story of the well-dressed Indian who accompanies him. And to me, this suggests that he is a mental deficient. He's in the same class with Richard Reed. He's mentally retarded in some way. And he could get a degree at University College London with the help of MI5, or maybe his father made a large contribution to University College London. That stuff happens all the time. So he's able then to get into the. He gets from one plane to another thanks to this patsy minder, a patsy chaperone or patsy monitor, the rich, well-dressed Indian who makes an odd couple with him, and that guy delivers him to the gate and says that he doesn't have a passport. And I'd be interested to see, is there a passport? Won't the FBI please show us a passport if there is one? And then we find
and the FBI's been caught lying, saying that there was no one videotaping on the plane. No one else was pulled off at customs in Detroit. Now they've had to go back and admit they were lying. They won't release the videos from the European airport, from Amsterdam. I mean, this is suspicious.